Cool, great. I guess if we are at 12:06, good time to start. Before I start the session, just would like to introduce Vineet. I'm sure that most of you, who before joining definitely went through Vineet's profile, but I believe there's something which is not mentioned about him is that again he is definitely a community strategist. He also hosts podcasts, but at the same time he's also a marathon runner. Very interestingly, and he's also a paragliding pilot. So, like, he's doing multiple things at the same go, exploring his passion and experience, and sharing his experience, with his community. He also has like a unique perspective and a different insights gained through working on different geography, working with different industry and companies. So I guess once he understands the holistic view how company grow, he really bring that a community angle and share with people, as well as he also helps companies to grow, sharing his experience and expertise in the way of growing community in the organization. So definitely, if I end up telling Vineet, it will take me 15-20 minutes easily, so will not take that much of time. Over to you, Vineet. Anything that you would like to mention?
I mean, Dishant, you summarized it very concisely. And the fact is, like, once we start unpacking, we can simply just go on for hours. So let's
Yeah.
start this conversation and make sure that everybody derives value out of it.
Great, great. So I have few questions, right? And there are few questions which people hosted on LinkedIn page as well. And our audience, if you have any questions, please feel free to add in a chat section. We will take them one by one. To begin with it, most of the people I heard, and in our previous sessions also, community just happen to people, right? They just happen to get into community. Now, what's your story? How you got introduced to the world of community and how you got into this?
Yeah, so community also happened to me. Okay, I was like 7 years into my professional journey and then was looking out for a different opportunity at that time. So Varun Chawla, who's the co-founder of 91 Springboard, he reached out to me on AngelList stating that Vineet, we are a pretty quick growing company. We are looking for people with strong operations background to join our team. Would you be interested? I was like super excited because at that point of time, people were not calling me for interview, and this guy is like, "Would you be interested in taking this up?" So I saw this message at 11 p.m. at night until 4 in the morning. I was like researching through the company, what it is, how it is. And I said yes, that I will be taking it forward. And then the entire process started. So essentially, they started interviewing me for Mumbai. And by the time I was hired, so over a period of 2 months, I had 7 rounds of interview, followed by 15-day on the job interview. I was hired as community manager for the Hyderabad location. And Sumangal, who is also there in one of the attendees, he was my colleague who joined 91 Springboard in Delhi, and he was shipped to Hyderabad to set up the Hyderabad 91 Springboard space. So that's how community began for me. Happened it such.
Interesting. I guess, with everyone, something of this thing happened. That's how they got into community part. Uh, Great. So while you are educating and telling companies about community, how to grow and, helping them, uh, very elementary question. I guess that will be more relevant to most of the organizations, right? Why community? Why they should be investing, or why they should be coming up with the role of community manager in their organization?
All right. So essentially, there are five essential elements which are needed for any business to succeed. It's infrastructure, service providers, networks, knowledge, capital. All right. And this entire ecosystem coming together takes it forward. So it is not like marketing does different things, sales does different things, customers success does different, and operations does different thing. I mean, they are part of the same organization. And once you move one layer deeper, it's the people. So if we are engaging with our internal stakeholders, the external stakeholders, be it vendors, partners, customers, everyone, when they are coming on the same platform, the magic happens. And I have seen that happening. So with the digital space becoming so much prevalent and people are running after views and subscribers and followers, community brings a very different aspect to it. That's the crux of the thing to begin with.
Interesting, interesting. And do you think that community is something which can go beyond the revenue as well for the organizations? Because I have seen that there are community managers who definitely help in creating a impressive user base that somehow I believe companies miss out to check. So how you
So,
feel that? Huh?
so Dishant, it's not only about engaging with people. So at the end of it, it's the connect which we are establishing.
Absolutely.
So CMX has come up with something called Spaces model.
Yeah.
All right, which basically is support, product, acquisition, contribution, engagement, and success. So essentially, it is not restricted to only interacting with your customers, interacting with your followers, users. What they are saying is, once you integrate community into picture, the people are happy about it. They know what problem the solution which your company or an organization is providing is solving. They are happy to share it with other people. All right, they are happy to give you the feedback. And if something new is being launched, we create a small focus group. Why don't we latch on to our community builders and ask them, community people, that what exactly can we do better? Can we do something new which would essentially help you grow? So once that one-on-one the connection is established, that's how the propagation starts.
Right. Actually, like a very nicely placed and very nicely mentioned. Okay, so company, they understand that why community should be a part of it. Now, the next step comes up, especially for our talent acquisition partners within the company. Sometimes community has been misplaced by, oh, it's a social media post, right? Someone who just need to put social media, or sometimes it's a CSR activity. So it really gets difficult for a talent acquisition partner to identify the right candidate, or to understand what are the skill set that person should require to be a community manager. So in your opinion, what are the skill set, or how talent partners can, find out the right person for this post or for the role?
So before I begin with finding the right partner, so it's about incorporating community as a strategy in the organization. It can start from a small piece of your marketing budget, because marketing generally has a good chunk of budgets with them to look forward for promotions of the promotion and do the entire activity. All right. Once we have what is the value which community will bring to the organization. I'm specifically talking about large scale organization, businesses, small and medium enterprise, and even individual freelancers also. All right, once we have that thing in place, and then it would come into place that what sort of skill sets are we looking at. So essentially, anybody who is enthusiastic about community, one. Second thing, they should be a people's person. All right, because it is a hardcore one-on-one conversation which we have. It is the one-on-one relationship which we build with people, the connects which we establish in terms of discussing what is going on, what is your likes, dislikes, what exactly do you want, what are your personal goals, professional goals. And that is the connect which we are doing with our community members, which goes a long way. And since we have to scale this experience, that's you have to be a people's person first, and then everything will start falling into place.
I agree more. Definitely, there's one element which we will miss out, is like the people's person, who can connect with people, who can understand their learning and understand them, as a human, and can treat them pretty well, which really helps them to build the entire user base. Great. So once talent acquisition partner understand what the community manager should be, and once the person get hired, how community manager can grow, or how they can contribute to the company's strategy or company's growth, within the organizations, like, because someone gets hired, but how they can showcase their ROI. What are the things that they should, think of?
So Looking at it from a holistic business perspective, any professional who joins at the lower rungs, they grow in their career. All right. And I'm damn sure that all of us, when we started our careers, we were initially doing the operations bit more, and then getting that insights that how the business works, what exactly is the problem we are solving, what is the solution we are providing, what is the challenge which our potential target audience group is facing. We figure that out, and then we start what do you call putting out products, solutions, ideas to see that what is working and what is not working. And similar is the case with a community professional as well. So once a community, or once the organization has made a decision that they will be incorporating community as a business strategy, then it starts with getting in the right people with the right attitude. So it starts with one-on-one interacting with the potential members, organizing events, looking at having the on-ground intelligence, what we call the right kind of feedback, that what exactly is happening. So it starts with that, and as the individual grows, that's where we see that whatever insights which they have created, got as at the starting of their career, that is what they use to strategize, and obviously move right from the operations role to the strategy roles. And it is a to and fro thing, because essentially at the end of it, when we are talking about ROI, it's a very strict business terms which we say that return of investment. But here, when we are talking about community, it takes 6 months to 2 years to actually start seeing the value from it. So one of the other things what we look at, which I attended one of the CMX session few days ago, and they were speaking about return on expectation. So what is the expectation you are setting out of it? First, we set the expectation in place, and then we start tracking the metrics that how exactly are the things moving forward.
Correct. Absolutely. Like something that I can relate to from previous sessions and, from past companies. Definitely, that is something which really, brings out in the company. And you rightly mentioned that, community is something which takes time. It's not like overnight it will grow and it will start showing ROI. Definitely not. That really takes time, but it's a long-term strategy and a planning which requires, which definitely helps, company in a long way. So great. So I had only these questions. Wanted to know more about this. I also remember you mentioning something about, there are two kind of communities. One is like an individual community run by individual, and the other one is company oriented community. Do you want to tell more about it?
Yeah. So when the community industry is evolving globally, and in India it is at the nascent stage. All right. So when we are bifurcating the community as the whole industry, we call it individual communities and brand communities, which is the companies which we are talking about. So individual communities are more of interest groups, or something which I have passion about, something which I really care about, interested and growing. So for example, I run one marathon a year. All right. I also find out that there are few other people who are interested in fitness and everything, and they are also preparing for marathons. What we do, we either form a group where we are interacting with each other, sharing notes and doing everything, or we join a running group where our training program is institutionalized. So this is what we are doing it for our own personal goals, whether it is health, fitness, or something which you want to achieve out of it. And that is a similar case when we go to what do you call a painter's workshop. We see what they are painting. Everybody has a different what do you call genre of painting. And similarly, when we look at writers and bloggers and everyone else to talk about, so those are merely interest based groups. When we are talking about brands, the brands are the organizations. So right and this community space is very much integrated in the technology part, because there are developer relations guys, there are what do you call product adoption, product managers who ensure that the users are already adopting the product. When we are coming to the non-tech part of it, all right, that's where the challenge increases, because we are saying that all the stakeholders, I mean the five pieces which I mentioned: infrastructure, service providers, networks, knowledge and capital, right from vendors, competitors, employees, partners, or even the supporters. So the fact is, if I have an interest in something and I know that this company is providing a solution which might help me 100%, 10%, 20%, I might become part of it to know more. Once I am engaged with it as a user, as a volunteer, as a supporter, that's the time I realize what to do next. So that's how it begins. And frankly speaking, once I have when we speak to other community builders, nobody gets up one day and say that I'll be a community builder. It is just that what pet projects they have taken up, what sort of what do you call professional encounters they have come across, the decisions which they have taken and the events which they have encountered has shaped this decision to become a community builder. Because trust me, having one-to-one conversation, maintaining that one-to-one relationship is a very tough task. And frankly speaking, I have different relationship with everybody, whether I'm meeting somebody for the first time or I'm meeting somebody for the nth time, because the kind of conversation which we share with one person will not be the same. The kind of conversation which I have in one specific group won't be the same for other ones. Like for example, I was helping Co-Learning Lounge, which is a community for data science professionals and aspirants who are trying to start, grow in that field of data science. When I'm discussing anything out there, the conversation is around data science. But when I'm going for running, the conversation is around, okay, which shoes to buy, how to prepare and do everything. And similarly, when I'm looking at a brand community, all right, so companies also have a specific guidelines that whatever products and services they are producing, it has to be sold. It has to solve a larger chunk. So how is it integrating in their entire business strategy? And that is how the difference we will be able to figure out. Taking those experience, we incorporated for the larger goal.
Interesting. Well, while you're talking about the tech, I was just thinking of that, that would be like so lucrative to understand when you are helping some IT or tech company to grow the community angle, like thinking about their mindset and thinking about their target audience and helping them to grow. On that note only, there were two questions which we received from our LinkedIn posts. So
Dishad, before you share
yeah,
those questions, as you said, IT company.
yeah,
So prior to I became the growth consultant community strategist,
yeah.
I was heading partnerships and community for MTW Labs.
Okay.
All right, which is an IT company. It closed down. It was a data science analytics company.
Mhm.
And frankly speaking, why did I join it? Because the challenge what we were solving. So our non-tech entrepreneurs are very good in their business, all right, but since they are not able to find the right tech partners, they invest a lot of time and money. They are not able to get the tech product out, and there is a lot of acrimony involved. So what we said is like, to the non-tech guys, you are good in your business, we are good in technology, let us help you scale your business through technology. I was like, yeah, that's a great problem to solve. And that is how I came on board in that organization. And with the networking, figuring things out, one of the friends reached out to me through this session, the networking session which keeps on happening in the ecosystem. Like, Vineet, what exactly do you do? And I shared the same thing. He's like, I am looking for a same kind of organization to partner with, because I'm a fintech company building a fintech product, but I also get inquiries to build other products. So I really don't want to lose my focus from the core product that I'm building. But if I'm able to partner with another organization, I get in the requirements, I pass it on to you, and we get into a revenue share model. So that's how we started with two projects, which was less than $5,000. And then the major thing happened where we went into a joint venture, and that joint venture company did $150,000 of
Wow.
business worth in a year. So I have seen this happening, and I cannot stress more about it.
I really want to know more about this. Will not take everyone's time, but definitely after this, I will be, getting on a call to get to know more about this, because I know, and I have seen, on a serious note, I've seen a lot of IT and tech companies who are doing fantastic, but unfortunately, they don't understand, or they might not have the visibility on the community angle to it, how that can help. So the thing that you're doing. So we'll definitely know more about this. If in case people wants to know, and if we have time, definitely, I will touch this in again. on this session only. So with your permission, I will be reading out Rohit's question, Rohit Rao. So he asked that if you have kickstarted a community for a SaaS company by creating a newsletter and getting people to subscribe to it, what is the best way to engage them to ensure communication is from both sides?
Okay. So first things first, once you have created a newsletter, you are building an audience. Your audience is not your community. Your audience is the first part of it. So whoever is your audience is interested in what is the problem you are solving, what is the SaaS product you are building, what exactly it is going to do. And there are two sides to it. One will be the product side, which is the developer part of it, and second will be the user side, the end consumer. So you'll have to engage with your developers in a way, figure out who are the developers, who are the what do you call business guys, because you'll have to engage with your developers to figure out, are they really excited about it? Because if the way this product will propagate is people will build over it, people will help other people what do you call implement it, and they will be the ones who will be sharing it in their own way, and everybody will become their brand ambassador. So that is the developer part of it, which we call the devrel, developer relations. The second part is the business side of it. So what problem is your SaaS company solving? All right, because now everything is there on the cloud. When I'm talking about whether you want to build a CRM, okay, there are n number of CRMs. Even when we are talking about like hosting a virtual event, today there are more than 100 platforms where you can host an event. Why do we want to do it on Bevy? Very simple. So that's where the two part of it. So once you are reaching out to your audience through your newsletter, you are asking them the right questions, the people who respond, they become your first inner circle, and from there things start propagating, and you will have the right kind of people who are joining your community. They will be much more engaged, and they will help you propagate, adopt, evolve, what do you say, I mean incorporate the feedback into your thing, and also help you generate business out of it. So that's the bigger picture to talk about.
Cool. Next question is from Shiv Kumar. So he asks that we hear of communities mainly for the startup sector and the IT product companies. How can communities help with traditional industries like manufacturing and financial services?
Okay, so let's talk about manufacturing, and it is a great example to start with. So when we are talking about manufacturing, we are looking at a B2B or a B2C company. So essentially I'm producing a product which will be used by other companies to integrate it in their bigger what do you call product which they are building, and I'm talking about the physical product as well. All right, and second is the B2C company, where the product which I'm building is being used by the end consumers. So for example, if I'm making nuts and bolts, it will be used by the hardware stores. But if I'm making a small motor, that will be used by a bigger companies to incorporate that product in their the roadmap. So when we are talking about communities, there are two aspects to it: the supply side. So engaging with other manufacturers, other companies, other stakeholders to understand what exactly are they building, how they can come together. So like for example, I know one thing for sure, that I have spoken to a few people who are part of medium and small scale industries in Hyderabad and Bangalore, which are making products which are going into our satellites, the Chandrayaan and Mangalyaan. So a small unit will be making something which will go into that bigger satellite, or the rockets and the ships which we are launching. So that is one part of it, is the supply side. Second is the demand side, that how exactly are you creating a demand. So I'm building one product, it can be used in multiple what do you call industries. Do I have the what do you call bandwidth to go ahead and interact with everyone? The answer would be mostly no. So how do I create a platform where these guys come together and they share their learnings, they share their understanding, they help each other out, and there is peer-to-peer collaboration? in a space which I have created. So that's where I'm talking about a B2B organization. At the end of it, it's about people. So when I'm looking at my internal stakeholders, which are essentially the employees, the funders, the vendors, the partners, I need to understand what their personal goals are, what their professional goals are. And since the company is being driven by a mission, it has a vision, values to convey. All these things comes together, and that's how the community is born. It's simply starts, and how it evolves, it's to look at that what to do next as such. So that's about the manufacturing side of it. When we are talking about the financial services, similarly, if I say the supply side and the demand side, so everybody needs money. I mean, startups are running after funding. The what do you call, people need a working capital to execute their projects. All right, we the customers, the users, the end users, they have to pay to buy the product. So how exactly are we easing things out? So when we are talking about B2B organizations, financial services, how exactly is the what do you call credit available? Right now, the challenge for crowdfunding in India is very much high. So essentially, me as an individual cannot directly go and invest through a particular platform in companies. All right. So that will be the supply side. I mean, where people have the resources, they want to really invest in and see things grow. When we are talking about the demand side from the B2C perspective, uh, right now, since a few years, I have seen the financial regulator saying that you start your investment, invest in mutual fund, don't only invest in the saving scheme. Your portfolio should be diversified, and all the information is being dished out. But I am unsure what to do. So once I have created a small group where a financial advisor is coming in and sharing this information, they are understanding what people's financial goals are, creating a platform where they are able to reach it. All right. So the what do you call, length and breadth of this aspect where community can be integrated in multiple parts is like pretty huge. All right. And similarly, one Anand Rathi Security. So it is one of the great what do you call companies in the stock market. They have started building a product called Lakshmi for women. All right, to ensure that women become financially literate, financially secure, they are doing the planning for it. And they have what you call built a community team. My friend Ritu is leading out there, and it's a great insight which we get from it. And that's what I would say out here.
Insightful and very interesting thought. Um, Guys, if you have any questions, please feel free to put that on chat because if not, then I'll be fully utilizing this session, asking questions which I want to know more about. So इसलिए मतलब please whatever questions you have, please ask. If not, then I'll be chatting because on community, I guess we can spend hours and hours talking about it. So before anyone puts questions, Vineet, just want to understand, going back to the same thing, when you are mentioning about IT industry, where the community angle can be related to it. So as for you, how you think that, IT companies, especially like, companies, database company like MongoDB and stuff, how can they introduce community and how can they help, through community angle, how a company can grow through community angle over there?
So MongoDB is already doing it. All right. So the fact is, MongoDB is an open source database.
Correct.
All right. And the fact is, when we are building products on Stack, all right, that the database is on MongoDB. All right. From SQL, they have moved on to MongoDB because it is open source.
Correct.
And frankly speaking, in the IT and software industry, people are adopting towards the open source technology right from the what do you call legacy tech, because anybody can go and do the code level changes there. The
At their level.
problem is crowdsourced. The solution is crowdsourced. All right. And the learning is, there is a peer-to-peer learning and interaction which is happening. So for example, if a software developer has to be hired by an organization, right now they say that apart from sending your CV, please share with us your GitHub profile, because the kind of codes what you have written, the kind of problems you have solved, the kind of solutions which you have created, that is easily visible on your GitHub profile. So I am able to verify the credibility of what you are saying. That is where it begins. So this we are talking about the developer side. So similarly, when we are talking about the user side, and if somebody has to pay, so if you are paying for a legacy technologies, the licenses goes in millions and millions of dollars for a lot of these products. For these with the open source technology, the pricing is reduced to the minimal. And if let's talk about Salesforce. So Salesforce came in as a pirate.
Mm.
All right. Prior to it, the legacy companies were building CRM system, which was like you have to buy the entire system, and what do you call? There used to be adoption and a long sales cycle. Salesforce came into place and said that end of software, everything will be there on the cloud. And look at how they are doing some interesting stuff. So when we are talking about community, Salesforce's Trailblazer community is the example which is given everywhere. That's
Yeah.
that's the
Yes.
beginning. All right. I was scrolling through the chat and I could see one question which Akanksha had mentioned. Just going through it.
Okay. Yes. So Akanksha's question: how do you?
Yes, guys, sorry. There are some more questions as well. There's one from Varalakshmi and another one from Avantika. So there are a couple of questions.
Great. We'll address all of them.
Cool.
Yeah, go ahead, Dishan.
All right. No. So I mean, I completely agree with you, because I know that companies like MongoDB and they are the one who are starting something about community, right? I'm just thinking of how new companies, how new startups which are coming up, or companies which are into tech but haven't explored the community angle yet, how they can do that. But I guess you already answered that question. How they can visualize and how they can explore this part in different ways. Great. I'll be going to questions which our audience asked. Neha, do you want to take them if you have those questions? Or let me just scroll.
Yes, sorry. I had kept my presenter mode off. Let me take the question. So Varalakshmi asks that, a mature community must have gone through all stages of activation, engagement, user signups, etc. But when it comes to mature community, how it can be of help to still be effective or relevant for business to drive value out of it. So she's talking about, obviously, when the community has matured and scaled, how can it still be relevant to the business and be effective to drive value for it? I think that's a great question.
Yeah, so every community goes through a cycle. Once we start, so it is just like few friends coming together and discussing. And then as we grow, they are like people who are more interested in the vision, the kind of things which we are solving, the interest groups, what you're saying. And then you get your tribe along. Once it scales up, it becomes mature. So we can see that there are multiple, what do you call, layers coming into place, because there would be an inner circle, there will be elders in the community, and then there would be newbies coming in. So when newbies are asking question, they should not feel that this question is irrelevant or new or anything of that sort. And people who are already there in the community since long, once it has matured, they know, okay, this is how things happen, this is how it is, this is what to expect, and this is what not to expect. So will it be relevant for businesses? I would ideally say that we need fresh talent coming into the community industry. So everybody who is coming in, whether it is their day 1, day 20, or day n, it has to be exciting for them, and that is how we have to keep on what you call reinventing it, keep bringing in the new ideas, perspective. And there would be people who would come in, who would ensure that the community's growth becomes mature, and then they become a lurker. And the fact is, this will keep on evolving, that there will be constant inflow and outflow of it. Whether it will be relevant to business, frankly speaking, looking at the example of Salesforce, I am saying it's still relevant. The community has matured, but the fact is, if I really want to understand how to use Salesforce as a product, I go to their community platform and understand what is going on. So it will be relevant. And frankly speaking, as we are moving to a digital world, communities will be at par with marketing as such, because there is that one-to-one connection which a person has established, whether it is with an individual or a brand or organization, that has to be nurtured to take it forward.
I would just want to add another insight that I've kind of learned over a period of time to this question. I think whether the community remains relevant to the business or not entirely depends upon the business leaders. And have they continued to kind of invest in the community, and how have they helped evolve the strategy for what they want the community to achieve for the business? If that is happening at some level, at various levels, it could happen at a very good level. I think some business owners could have a very, very clear idea about what they want to achieve, and some may still want to kind of figure out as they go. But as long as the executive team is committed to invest in the community, I think both the community builders and the business managers can figure it out together. But the point still remains is that is the business still wanting to invest in that community? I think that's super important.
Yes, agreed.
There was another question that came in from Avantika, so she asks, if I were to build a community for branding or awareness, as well as to pay it forward, what can I pitch to people when getting the first few members on board? And when she says as well as to pay it forward, I'm not very sure what she means. But I'll just repeat the question again, Vineet. It is, if I were to build a community for branding or awareness, as well as to pay it forward, what can I pitch to people when getting the first few members on board?
Okay. So as I started my journey as a growth consultant, I coined this equation: people plus purpose plus guidelines equal to community building plus growth. All right. So that is what I have coined. So when it was Avantika, right? So Avantika, when you are building a community to pay it forward, so essentially you want to give back to the society, you want to give back to the group which has helped you grow. All right. So it's all about the purpose. What exactly do you want to achieve out of it? You may call it branding, you may call it marketing, you may call it social media activities, but at the end of it, what is the purpose you are building it for? What is the value and the outcome you want to what you call gain out of it? So once you have that thing in place, then you would figure out that who are the people who are interested in it. All right. So when I'm talking about out here, whenever I go and meet anyone, when I was not a community builder while growing up and everything, I would say that what exactly do you do? So I don't want to know what do you do for a living, what are your interests, what does not interest you, what excites you, and everything, and then we figure out a common ground to talk about. All right. So as at the beginning of this discussion, when Dishant said that Vineet, you are a marathon runner and a paragliding pilot and a podcast host and a community professional. So when I'm meeting somebody, after completing a marathon, hey, how was your run? I'm not interested whether you are working as a CEO of some multinational organization or anything. I mean, Neha would agree to it because Standard Chartered was one of the big sponsors for Mumbai Marathon and how things span out. So I'm not interested whether you're a CEO of a particular organization or not. I'm really interested how you finished off your run. And that's where you hit it off. All right. When I'm going for paragliding and somebody is a mountaineer, so essentially it is adventure sports, and we exchange notes about the adventure sports. All right. And that's how you start building your network. So essentially, when you're talking about paying it forward, understand what the purpose excited about it. They can be people from various strata of society, and what is the value they will bring to the table, and also help your cause grow in leaps and bounds. That's where we start.
I am just loving this session. There are like tons of questions coming in.
Yeah.
Wow, I love it.
That's what I love. And this is exactly the purpose of doing these events. So thank you so much, Dishant and Vineet, for this. There's another question from Akanksha, and I think you already answered a part of it, Vineet. But I still want to kind of put forth this question in case you had more to add. In case not, we can move on to the other questions. Akanksha asks, how do you assess a good community manager when hiring? Some pointers on what to look out for. I know that you already mentioned a couple of them. In case you were to add on more, otherwise we can move on to another question.
So, Akanksha, I would say that look for a great attitude. All right, the skills can be taught. So once you are interviewing a person, first of all, have a what is the KRA, what we say, that what is it exactly are you hiring this community manager for? All right. Also understand the fact that since the community industry is still in nascent stage, you'll have it. Every community takes time to mature. So the Varalakshmi's question was very much relevant, right? From engagement to user acquisition to company becoming mature. So I am assuming that you are hiring the community manager for the first time. So you are incorporating community as a business strategy in your organization for the first time. All right. So if anybody who has a great attitude, as a people's person, willing to learn, look, skills can be taught, but attitude has to be incorporated, and the value has to come out of it. So once we understand what the input is, what the metrics are expected, and then how the process goes through, at the end of the process we'll be able to figure out whether this was a right hire or a wrong hire, the metrics have been achieved or not, what tweaks needs to be done, and how exactly things have to be taken forward. So interest-based communities run on a very different aspect. The brand communities, they run on different challenges, different stories. The DevRel communities work on a very different aspect. And frankly speaking, if I'm just interested about talking about what do you do for fun, that's it. So for example, there is a fan following of Star Trek and Star Wars. All right. And if you mix the two, both the fans will actually come and take your case left, right, and center. So that's where we start.
Right. There's another question that Priya asks, Vineet. She thanks you for your time today. And she goes on to ask, can you give some tips and cases on monetization of interest-based communities? So she's asking for some tips and some other case studies that she could refer to as she wants to monetize her interest-based community.
I love this question when it comes to money.
No, that's true. So when we are talking about interest-based community monetization, so essentially the monetization, if you look at it, is like two aspects. One, you are selling a merchandise. Second, you are doing an event. Third thing is brand collaboration. All right. So these are the basics to start with. Now, when I am doing an event, all right, it will, whether it is a workshop or a session or a week-long activity or something of that sort, it will be a paid session, a hands-on workshop or a knowledge sharing session or something of that sort. So the fact is, once when you are what you call pricing that workshop, ensure that 20 to 30% of the revenue generated goes into your community. The 70% of the revenue is taken in to run the workshop and get that wow experience. That is fact number one. The second thing, merchandise, everybody knows, right? From your t-shirts to caps to phone covers to anything which will excite your community members. All right, it can be physical merchandise, it can be digital merchandise. At times people buy merchandise because they relate to it, and there is a connection established. All right, the reason, so I am from St. Xavier's College, Mumbai. When I go back to my college and I buy a t-shirt, why do I buy a t-shirt? I graduated 13 years ago. It is because those college days were the formative years of my life, and I really want to give back. So when I went in for my 150 years of establishment of St. Xavier's College, I did not go in because it was an event. I went in to interact with other alumni and relive that experience for an evening. All right. And third is the brand collaboration. So brand collaboration is tricky because nobody wants to be sold. So the fact is, when you're collaborating with a brand or a company or for a product, they would want to know that how much sales will this bring in. The fact is, if that brand or a product or a service or a solution is essentially complementing your community's purpose and interest, you have to state everything out very transparently, very clearly. And once the transparency and the what do you call expectations are set into place, there is win-win situation for all. And it is a tricky thing to achieve because there will be a lot of hit and trials. There is no standard playbook to it. Every organization, brand, community will have to build their own playbook from scratch. They can take inspiration from other people, other places. They can take inspiration, but it's your own. Treat it like your own and see how it grows up. Next, I'm done, Neha.
Yeah, Dishant, you were wanting to add something?
I'm just nodding my head, and I can agree that yes, that's the way it actually works. So yeah.
No. So moving on to the other question, Raj Ashish asks, how community can help with marketing and sales, for example, for a services company, and where can they start, and are there any case studies that he can refer to? So again, just to repeat, how community can help in marketing and sales for a services company, from where to start, or any case study which they can refer to.
Okay, we did a session with Erica Cool, who was VP of Community at Salesforce, and she is now an independent community consultant based out of US. All right. So Salesforce is like one what do you call organization which you can look at. All right. I have written 3 articles on it on my Medium platform, so you can go and read that as well. So that is the case study part of it, which is available at most places. The second case study, if you want to talk about, we say Lego. All right. What about Lego? Lego was about to go bankrupt. Till that time, they tapped into their fan community and they started building in the new games for them. All right. So when you see a Lego Batman or a Lego Top Gun movie, imagine that it is the fans who are driving this entire what do you call story for this 75-year-old organization. All right, where to start? So if you are a marketing and sales organization, what is the purpose of your organization? What is it that you are trying to achieve? Who are your target audience, and what is the challenge your target audience is facing? Once you are able to address the challenge, I mean state it out loud. All right, what are the possible solutions? Your product or service may or may not suffice that, but it starts with awareness. Once awareness comes into picture, you understand what the thing is, then you can also collaborate. Start with collaboration and start small. Experimenting, things will start evolving, and then you will be able to figure things out along the way. So instead of if you are investing in what do you call marketing, and you're saying I'm running Facebook ad, Google ads, Insta ads, why not strategize it and do it purposefully, where you are getting the right kind of target audience for your product to sell. Secondly, when you're looking at your service providers, what exactly are they contributing to your success? And every stakeholder will contribute their own bit. All right, but the sum will be larger than the individual contribution. And I have done an episode on my Be Impactful podcast, Creating Impacts with Empathy. On it, you can go through the podcast, you'll get some pointers out of it. Yeah, so I'll just talk about the podcast. So what happened is, my friend Shiva Kumar Valadi, who asked the question about manufacturing and finance, so he's a marketing strategy guy, and he has learned marketing strategy hands-on. I am a community building guy. I have learned community building hands-on, and I understand that community building is a subset of marketing strategy. And over last 1 year, we were reaching out to clients together individually, but things were not moving forward. So what we decided that we will package our learning as a product and publish it as a podcast so that the learnings are available for everybody to listen to. The same thing can be done by your organization, Raj. I mean, you can look at blog posts, podcasts, and see what exactly are you trying to solve and build community around it. It starts with a idea, purpose, interest, anything. I'm done.
Lovely. So the next question comes in. Sorry, I'm like really racing ahead because there are, still a couple of questions left. So Raja Ranjan asks, can you give some insights about how community can be leveraged by FMCG products? Very interesting question.
So the fact is, what are the kind of FMCG products you are looking at? That is something which you'll have to define. And if you read this book, Fortunes at the Bottom of the Pyramid by C.K. Prahlad, I read it like 15 years ago. I don't exactly remember the contents of it. So there was a case where HUL was empowering the females in remote villages of India so that they become distributors of HUL product, and they are able to what do you call make their economic condition better. So it was not about selling more of HUL products, but it was about what the product is solving the problem. So if you are able to figure out who your target audience is, the fact is you have to empower your target audience, make them realize that this is the challenge which they are facing, and you may position your product or service as a solution to it. All right. So at that point of time, it is not about how many sales you have done, because the sales cycle is long. First, it is engagement, awareness, then adoption, then figuring out what works, what does not work. And then when people are comfortable, they will buy the product. Otherwise, they won't. And it's the same story everywhere. So figure out that what is the challenge which your product will be solving, create a community around that challenge, see who will be impacted by it, and then automatically things would start rolling.
I just wanted to give an example. Actually, I personally have gone through that example of an FMCG company, and I think several FMCG companies, and my ex-colleague and friend Priya Sood is also here, and Priya, in case you want to kind of add in, feel free to add in your insights as well. But in my previous organization, there were a lot of brands that were to kind of leverage the community that we were building for young mothers and parents for doing a lot of outreach. And one of the examples that come to my mind is Johnson & Johnson. Johnson & Johnson at one point in time, as a couple of you may be aware, was facing a lot of credibility issues because of their Johnson & Johnson baby powder. And there was, a lot of, information out there in the market that it was not good for babies and it could even cause cancer. Now they identified that as a problem statement. Obviously, this was something that they wanted to address at a war footing because it was obviously going to affect the organization a lot. And one of the strategies that they adopted over a period of time, also I'll just explain how they went about this in a quick nutshell. I know there's lots to talk about, but I can't touch upon it here. But they leveraged on existing networks of mothers to start doing a lot of very well thought through strategy of how to address some of these myths and some of this misinformation as per the organization, right? And what they did is that and they had a very clear strategy and very, very clear bullets, in terms of how they were to address this issue. And it was a multi-pronged approach that they adopted to address the situation. Apart from that, over a period of time, since they had already leveraged and they had communities to address this issue, I think they realized how effective communities could be to their organization. And over a period of time, I think they started building a community of their own. and really grow it very well. I think the point still remains is that for a lot of organizations, they really want to these days interact with their users for various purposes. And I think building a community for all the objectives that they want to achieve is a brilliant approach to take. But it all depends upon whether the organization really needs it or not. So, just one example that came to my mind that I thought would be relevant to share here.
Yes, Neha. So whether the community is important, is relevant to an organization, after discussing with the organization, we'll be able to share that. There cannot be a blanket answer to it.
Absolutely.
Similarly, I was going through Avantika's question. She's like, we are a Series B, Series C company, and we are looking at Series A. So that's why I wrote in the chat that why don't we connect later on LinkedIn and take this discussion forward? Because I really need to understand what are the things which you want to build community around before answering it.
Absolutely. And Priya also adds in, she says recently she's working with Boop right now. She heads their community. And she says recently in Boop, we have partnered with J&J, Dabur, Pampers, etc. And their initiatives include creating UGC about product usage, expert sessions to address the concerns of the users, sampling and word of mouth sales. Pampers saw their FB group conversations and did a contest. Did some content around it to address those concerns as well. So, here they leveraged a lot of, content that users are creating to their benefit and really, address some of the concerns. I think that's the best way. Even at Quora, we've seen that, at times there are a lot of brands that receive a lot of negative publicity on the platform. And, we have a bunch of brands who keep reaching out to us saying, hey, can you please take down that content? Because it is definitely not great for us. And one of the ways in which we have really counsel them to really address these situations is to kind of really address the concerns that people have. And in some ways really leverage that community to demystify some of the myths that they think are existent in the community. So, yeah, there are various ways. It depends upon what are you trying to solve for, and take it from there in terms of how do you want to kind of really leverage your product, a community around your product. There's another question, Vineet, if you allow me, that comes in from Sayan. He says, after working with defense and a couple of other sectors, I believe that governmental and large corporates benefits to a sector can better reach to people if they are connected in an organized ecosystem form, whose building blocks would obviously be several communities. I want to initiate one, but where do I start?
So, Sayan, when you're looking at defense, government, and large organizations, trust me, they are big. All right. And when we are talking about defense and government, they are essentially using taxpayers' money to build their, do their job. Not build the product, do their job. All right. So when you are using your taxpayers' money, there are lots of checks and balances which falls into place. Secondly, when we are looking at corporates, all right, corporates, yes, they do have CSR activity budget and everything. But when corporates and government, they have to work together, they work together through industry associations, because there is like equal partnerships from all sides. So the fact is, when you are looking at how to start, where to start, see that who will be benefited out of it. Once the benefits are clear, then essentially you reach out to industry association and say that we want to work together, because a lot of the background checks, the regulations and everything have already been taken into account before launching a program. All right, that's where you start. And I believe the industry association would be the right platform for you to start propagating it. It cannot be either from the government or defense or a specific corporate, because everybody has their own challenges to address. And the fact is, there will be a lot of question and queries raised that why this what you call program is being run, and what is the value which you will be deriving out of it. So that's a big challenge. So before even starting a community, you will have to do a long research, figure out a report, answer those queries which are raised, and by that time you start a community, the problem would already have been solved. The community might not be able to, address the problem statement with which you started this entire thing. So time to market is very critical in this piece.
Very interesting. We have a couple of more questions, but Vineet, I'm mindful of time and doing the time check. If you're okay, we can continue addressing some of these questions because the session is recorded and can be sent out to more people who have had to leave. If not, I can send across the questions to you, and you can perhaps
let's answer the questions. I mean, the attendees are out here and they really want to listen to the insights. So let's do it.
I'm happy. The question again, it's just give me a second. Okay, so Avinashi asks that they want what can be ways for brand advocacy in an online community on different community platforms.
Avinashi, the question what you are asking is what we as community builders discourage. So when you're talking about brand advocacy, it is essentially telling what your brand does, what your company does, what your product is doing. So nobody wants to be sold. I mean, if I really want to know, I will watch the television commercials. All right. So the fact is, when you are looking at brand advocacy, and if that is the kind of things which you really want to share with other communities, most of the community builders or the people who are running it, they will be very skeptical about taking it on board. They might do it once, they might do it twice, but they will not do it for the third time. How to start is sit with the community builders, the decision makers, the stakeholders, all right, and also the active community members. Understand what is the problem or the solution you are offering, the problem you're solving, the solution you're offering, what is the community purpose and why they are coming together. And even if there is a 10% overlap, address that 10%. Once you start that, you will start building credibility. All right. And when you have identified the challenges and the solution what you're providing, those can be also what do you call be the pointers which you go and start collaborating with other communities. And that's how. So community, it's about peer-to-peer learning, peer-to-peer interaction, collaboration, and things moving forward. That's why we say that it takes time to build a community and it cannot be done overnight. So that's my answer to the perspective which you have put across.
That's lovely. And one last question that comes from Raj Ashish again. He asks, what would be a best B2B and B2C online platform a startup can opt for? And I think this is a common question for a lot of people who want to host their communities on a platform. And this is mainly that he's asking for marketing and sales for their services in minimum possible cost to start with. And when they would be getting mature with commercial gain, they may opt for larger paid. Can they opt for larger paid platforms? Just additionally, Vineet, there's because this is a very common question, and I know that CMX is kind of putting together a blog as we speak. I'm not sure if they've already published it, but they do have a blog that they're working on for exactly this question. So once that gets published, I will definitely circulate it to you all.
Yes, and from the CMX, so the fact is every year they publish this blog post where they talk about platforms, and there are more than 100 community platforms as of now when we are discussing. So Raj, right, who was asking the question? Yeah. So Raj, let me tell you, with my experience, it is very easy to build a technology platform. Adopting to it is a challenge. So understand where your target audience is. If they are on Facebook, you have to be on Facebook. If they are on WhatsApp, you have to be on WhatsApp. If they are what do you call there on Discord or other communities or Reddit, you have to be all over the place. Now, what is that 20% of your audience which will essentially give you the 80% of results, which is the simple Pareto's principle? Depending on that, you will start investing. So till that time you have not gone and done your research that what is the problem this platform will be solving, you will not be in a position to what do you call figure out what it is. Because some people will say go with Salesforce, some people will say go with HubSpot, but I would say that if Airtable and what do you call Notion is solving your purpose, why are you investing in Community and even Excel sheets for that matter? I mean, investing on a platform. As it scales up, you'll figure out the kind of challenges which are coming into place, and then obviously you can sit with any of the platform vendors and get the bring the adoption into place. There are lots and lots of it. So 2 weeks ago I sat for one of the CMX event and I met up with somebody who's a VP sales of a particular platform on which Lego community is hosted. And that's where I got much more insights into it, that how Lego is building their new game. So they put the idea out, and if they have 100,000 plus what do you call people saying yes to it, Lego goes and builds the game. So 100,000 yes for a community like Lego is good. But for a small community, 100,000 is a very big number which we are talking. So it matters, right? From startups to scale, it will be a very different scenario.
Interesting. I mean, these questions themselves are huge topics in themselves, you know. I'm so glad these questions were asked. That's the end of the questions, Aneet. Any closing thoughts that you want to share?
I loved interacting with you, Neha, and Dishant, and Community is something, you know, which is very close to my heart. So you talk about Community, I'm like, yeah, what discussion is going on? That's how my mind pops up. So that's about it.
Well, thank you so much. No, thank you so much for agreeing. And you know, as you rightly said, you know, you're somebody who would literally, you know, not say a no. And the moment I reached out to you, you immediately said a yes. And I'm so glad that you did, because as obviously, you know, evident from all the comments that are coming in, people really found this session very useful. Just so thank you so much, Vineet. And I think we should talk a lot more. This is not where we should end. We should perhaps do a lot more sessions, perhaps deep dive into each of these topics that came up during this session. I think you have a sea of knowledge to share. So thank you so much there. And thank you so much to the attendees as well. Thank you so much for making it so engaging. These sessions can, you know, only be fruitful if the audience is like this. This is my you know, go-to audience. This is my, you know, what an ideal audience for this kind of event, of an event looks like. So thank you so much for making it successful. Also, you know, I'd say that we're coming up with some other, you know, some very interesting sessions in the future as well. So keep a tab on CMX events page for the CMX India event and do RSVP for them. We'd also be sending out a follow-up email after the session for your feedback. Please do take a minute, please, to give us feedback. And also, in case you were to reach out to us for any suggestions or for any other thoughts that you want to share with us, please feel free to reach out to us either via the CMX page or LinkedIn. And obviously, Vineet is available for further conversations on some of the questions that you've asked via LinkedIn. He already mentioned that you can reach out to him on LinkedIn. Well, this was, yes, you can. Yes, Nisha, we will share the recorded session again. I mean, the recorded session via email. So keep a tab on your email for a link to that as well. That's a good question. Because there's just so much of sea of knowledge. It's so tough to remember all that was said here. So it's good to kind of go back and refer. But yes, thank you so much. This was an amazing Saturday afternoon, well spent. Yes, we shall see you on the other side in the next event. Thank you so
Sure.
much.
Thanks, Neha. Thanks everybody for coming to this event. Bye.
Bye.